Welcome. Again, I don't know why it does that. Welcome to
Surprise.
another edition of KitSZN. Tonight, my co-host Fox is busy, so we have a friend of a channel here, Austin Chen of Equip Studios. Austin, how are you doing here tonight?
I'm all right. I feel like, as long as I don't drop out and I don't have any fire alarms, I should be good. After last week. Easy.
Oh, yeah, that was a
Too soon?
chaotic. No, not too soon. It's okay. It's been
It
that
was
kind
fine.
of week
I
plus.
mean, the fire alarm, I'm sure, was a lot louder in person. It wasn't that annoying when listening back
Oh,
to it.
good. I was scared because these headphones pick up everything on my side, so I
Mm-hmm.
could hear a pin drop from like across the
Oof.
room. So
Yeah.
that
No, not too bad. Not too
okay. Well, that's good at least, and I do promise, not guarantee, but promise no fire alarms here this week
bad.
on this episode. But what I can promise and guarantee that we're going to give a massive shout out to all of our lovely patrons down below to allow us to do what we do here on KitSZN. And especially one of the things that Austin might also be aware of here, what's happening here in Indianapolis, which is that recent flooding, that massive, devastating flooding here across central Indiana, along the White River, kind of a derecho, kind of came through, dumped a lot of rain. We're not quite prepared for a lot of rain here in this state. So, as part of that, we are doing another kit garage sale to benefit the Indianapolis Foundation. Now, I do believe there is a link into the description of tonight's episode, but I'm going to double check, and if not, I'll put it inside the comments here, as well as what's the best way? Do I have it? Yeah. So there's attachment down below for the garage sale. If you are wanting to donate, and browse at some of these kits, I'm actually going to pull these up because we have some bangers here from all the different sizes, medium, large, from all of these beautiful people who wanted to help. So we got baseball kits, we got jackets, we got hats, we got polos, we got kits, scarves. We have all these beautiful kits here for sale and well photographed, might I add.
Priced really well too. I was shocked that this is definitely like garage sale pricing.
Yes.
So it's not these aren't being listed for eBay prices. It's like half that.
Exactly. And there's all over the world. We got European, we got American, got national teams, we've got a little bit
NWSL there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So we got a little bit of everything here on this kit sale. And as I mentioned, 100% of the sales will be going to the Indianapolis Foundation and their efforts in helping Indianapolis with dealing with the flood. So if any of those in the link down below appeal to you, please reach out to us via DMs on Instagram or Blue Sky. Or if you follow me also on Discord, you know how to reach out. So with that, I wanted to get that very important thing out of the way to do that. And now, do the first kit of tonight, which is one of the biggest symbols of something being rooted to their area. And what's more symbolic than an old hickory tree on top of the hill that never seems to die? And well, that's kind of where we're starting. So starting off tonight, we are going to take a look at Hickory FC and their Hickory kit for 2026. I hit the wrong image. There we go. The Hickory kit here from Hickory FC. And if I didn't get flipped it, boom. This is a fun application. I love it. Of literally the namesake of the kit, of the team, the identity of this club. What better place to put a home kit than to literally put an old hickory tree onto your kit in a fun color montage?
I mean, this is the brand synergy is crazy. It's triple hickory. You have hickory in the crest,
Yes.
hickory in the sponsor, and then there's a hickory tree in the back. I mean, it could not. It's almost like when you see like fantasy kits
Yes.
you know, and it's like that would never happen in real life. They made it happen.
They made it happen, and I almost want to name this kit Old Hickory just because of all the hickory
Yeah.
all across it. Because, like I said, the thing just bleeds hickory just from the name, the crest, the design. You can't get more hickory.
Yeah.
I'd like to see someone challenge that. A more hickory kit, please.
I'm worried. We're saying hickory so much. I'm worried it's gonna cease to become a word. You know, and you say something too much, it's like that's not real. It's not right.
It's not
anyway,
real.
Continue.
I will continue. I just want to kind of dive in a little bit into my story because I think this is a beautifully layered and detailed kit that is, I'd say design-wise, a little bit on the simple side, but because of the execution and then the overall blending of the colors, this turns out really good from Hummel. And I very much enjoy this, as we see down here, down below. So for me, when I see this kit, aesthetically, this is what I'm striving for. This is something that 100% it's not a template, and this is something that people will be talking about. You don't see you see leaves, and you see here what I'm wearing tonight. You see a lot of like petals, you see floral, you see like a little bit of accents. You might even see some bushes, as we see a little bit later on today, or like the entire like plants. You don't always see a lot of trees, and particularly in this detail. Now, but I'll get into that part here in a second. But from the aesthetic perspective, this stands out, and that's why to me it's a 5. It's beautiful, stands out. I love it. And for authenticity, it's a 5. You can't be called Hickory FC and literally have a hickory tree design kit and not it have that perfect synergy of a 5. Like, I don't know how else they can more represent Hickory FC. So that's a 5 there. I don't know what else you could do with that. The details are amazing, and I really wanted to pinpoint specifically here if I literally can't zoom in, can I? Nope, it's zooming out when I try to zoom in. That's lovely. So one of the things here that's really great about this is you kind of see that different shading on the bark of the tree. And yes, the leaves are still great detail, but they're not as intense detail as we've seen on like the ivy kits.
Are you talking about on the branches or behind everything?
I'm talking on actually like the main bark.
Okay,
you kind of see that shadowing there, and then how it like just kind of goes into the ground, like what you would expect from a tree. You kind of see it here as well.
You can kind of see the knots and the veins of the wood.
Yeah. And it's not just a straight, smooth, aesthetically pleasing thing. This one has ridges. It looks old.
It's a little bit less clip arty because it's not just a solid block. There's detail within the shape, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And you can really see that. And then what's also a nice little clever little bit of detail as well is that rail line, and even that has some detail with the wood. You almost see a little bit chips of like stone in between the different wood petals. I think that looks lovely, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And also, as we see here, it's got a solid block number in the back, which always looks really good in the white here, because as a journalist, sometimes you prefer to be able to see the numbers from the press box. I'm looking at Indy 11 when they were wearing a blue and blue clash. That kind of made it sometimes a little difficult. But at least the numbers somewhat stood out like this one will. And then finally, for me, when it comes to the innovation impact, I give it a solid 4. I think this has great impact, but I don't think this is challenging and innovating in the way that I think it could be. And I think this one definitely pushes boundaries, but I don't think it's the most innovative. I think the detail, it really kind of takes the cake of it, but not the innovation. And that's why for me, it's only a 4. Now, Austin, I want to hear your thoughts a little bit.
Yeah, this is obviously a very eye-catching kit, and this is one of those designs where the more I look at it, the more I like it. Mm-hmm. I guess first and foremost, trees are definitely underutilized. There are so many fun things you can do with leaves, branches, roots. The only other kit that really comes to mind, or club that comes to mind, is Oakland Roots, right? Because they have the tree and they have the roots, and you can do so many different things with that.
Yes.
I think it was just a Sunday League team come to me with tree and root imagery, and I so desperately wanted to have just like roots all across the chest and going in the sleeves. And it's just not every team is ready to take on something that bold. And I think this is done. It's bold, but it's still tasteful. From afar, at first you see those pops of red. So in terms of the color balance, fantastic. You've got the pops of color to kind of offset, because aside from that, it's black and white, right? Or shades of gray, rather.
Yes.
You pointed out the detail in the tree itself. I want to point out behind the tree, there's actually kind of like I don't know if that's supposed to be a wood texture, or it's just kind of like it's almost like a chalkboard texture.
Kind of looks like it.
But you can see on the front by the tree, it actually fades to black. So that was very purposeful. If it were just a black background, I think it would have been a little bit too jarring. So that was a really nice touch. You see up at the shoulders, that's pure black, and it stands out a little bit. So really good attention to detail there in terms of how the designer executed that. I am curious, if this was a Hummel design team masterpiece, or if this was kind of led by Hickory FC. Either way, props to the designer or design team that went about executing this. Like I said, from a designer standpoint, just the more I look at it, the more I can appreciate the little execution details that went into it. The only gripe that I might have is, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but usually with a blackout kit, you have a black background and you have slightly lighter gray details. And this is kind of the reverse. You have a primarily gray. This isn't a blackout kit. It's more of a dark gray, which is fine, but it just doesn't necessarily hit the same as a blackout kit with a black base. But again, I'm really kind of grasping for straws there, because this was really well done.
Yeah, and here's what Fox had to say about this. So he clearly, I'll look below. He gave it a 5. He thinks the scene's flawless. Fox, so you also know this is right up his alley. So he does. This kit is just plain cool looking. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The black kit with a gray and red tree popping off is just beautiful. Love the small details with the train track going through the in the back, which I don't know what it says, but still. Absolutely love the little saying there in the back. You can kind of see it a little bit. And even that wood grain in the background that Austin had pointed out. Is one of the small details that you love in lower league. Is one of his favorites you've seen. This is what every team should be reaching for. Also, it's only $75, which is, one of the reasons I wanted to the kit value of $65.
Wow.
This is a great get. Yes. So if I pop this off, $75 for this Hummel quality, beautiful bespoke kit.
That's on the low end for Hummel kits, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So it's pretty good. And for us to give it overall a 4.88 and being only $75, this has a great kit value. So I don't have much else to say besides I really enjoy this kit. Yes, I didn't give it a 5. I'll hear the haters at some other point. But I didn't give this a 5. This is still a very, very, very good 4.88. And I don't know, Austin, if you have any other thoughts on this kit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a solid kit. I think if Hickory FC can match this every year, or, I think this would be a great example for other teams to be like, all right, this is what we aspire to. If they can do something at this level consistently, just major props.
Yeah. And you say aspire, one could call it a thread of hope to try to
nice
aspire.
there.
Yeah, see, I'm good at this. A thread of hope into trying to aspire to that type of design and detail. Well, there's a team who already released the kit called the Threads of Hope that takes on a much bigger meaning than just looking beautiful as a kit. This kit from Union Omaha, or as I like to say, Union Omaha, from Union Berlin, is just plain beautiful. Like, I'm popping this up. I'm gonna just split this up because I want to read this statement about what this kit represents. It's more than just a journey. It's a unity in the face of something that touches us all. Designed for cancer awareness as a whole, this kit honors every story, every fight, and every moment of resilience. Cancer doesn't belong to one color, one ribbon, or one person. It's a shared battle carried by millions. This kit reflects that collective strength. And this is one of my favorite takes on something of a cancer type kit. It invokes kind of that purple, that strong color of resilience, but then it does something a bit unique with thrown on this textured, this multicolored, faceted, like floral on this, or in this case, the iris flower specifically onto the design, which is a simple lawn associated with hope, courage, and wisdom. This is just a beautiful kit, and it with a beautiful meaning that just looks like something that you won't see ever again. I love this. Oh, you're muted.
All right, that color palette is what catches my attention first and foremost. You just don't really see the kind of purple and lilac combination that much in any sport, even in women's sport, really. So props to Union Omaha for choosing something different. And I think it's just because of that, it's effective, right?
Yes.
There's obviously a really great message and really great meaning behind it. So if you can catch people's attention, you can get your message across.
100%. Now, I'm going to read Fox's depiction of this because if you couldn't tell, I'm in love with this kit. This thing is just straight up beautiful. I think and we also know the designer of this with Hummel here, who we interviewed earlier in the season, Kayla Watanabe. Please say I said that right later on, like 3 months after the interview, said it was their favorite kits they've made so far, and they love it. You know we're fans here of KitSZN of this, so shout out to Kayla and all the people Hummel for this beautiful design, because this is going into the Fives Club. This is going into the Fives Club. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm going to read Fox's because I think his kind of says it better than what I can already articulate. So, giving special love to those affected by cancer, it's an absolute piece of art. The white iris throughout the jersey add a nice touch of light. It popped into the lilac color of the kit itself. This thing is absolutely perfect. No nouns. I don't know what could be better on this. And I think that is kind of the point where this kit is at. It's so beautifully designed. It's intricate. It's colorful. It's also a men's team wearing flowers. One of the things I've harped on this show, men, we can look good in flowers. And this kit is taking that to a fun extreme for a great cause. And this thing's beautiful and it's perfect.
Well said. Yeah, I think it's very deserving of a 5. There's one thing that I'm curious about, and maybe Kayla can help answer this. So on the product listing, if you look at the original mock-up from Hummel, it actually has a crew collar, so it's circular, and so that usually, when you have a crew collar and a solid sleeve cuff, it kind of tends to frame it really well. And in the final version here, it's kind of more of a modern collar. I think Puma has used this a lot. You see a lot of hockey jerseys use this. So it's kind of a V-neck, but there's kind of like a triangular insert. So the resulting look is a little bit more of a purple color block in front. That's not necessarily a good thing or bad thing. I'm just, I think it worked just as well with the crew neck collar if this was the original render. So that's one thing. It's not a critique, but it's like, oh, that's an interesting design choice, and I wonder what it would have looked like with that color. Likewise, so the purple and lilac is a great color combination. And then you have kind of like the off-white of the flowers. It's interesting that the green of the leaves is kept in there. I think that's really nice. I do also wonder what it would have looked like if that were rendered in white, just to make things more expensive. But again, this is not even really my designer brain. It's more my kind of science brain from my previous life. It's like, oh, let's try every iteration and see what happens. And I'm sure they did do that, but that's just kind of where my mind goes in terms of, oh, I wonder if that would have looked just as cool.
Yeah, I will also say one of the things if you mentioned in our interview with Taylor was the need for goalkeepers to also match the design, because this is what they did here, and they used that almost like a pink magenta as the base. Again, stands out in a sea of pink that is League One, but then that volt returns on the collar and the top. Yeah, that's a beautiful color combination. I didn't know I needed. Those are like two high.
It surprisingly works. Usually, goalkeeper kits, it's one or the other. It's all volt or it's all pink. And to have two, somehow it works. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're both high vis and fighting for your attention, but like, it's fine.
Because there's a clear primary and secondary, right? Like volt is very clearly the secondary.
Yes.
I love this shot because it also gives a good look at the OMA. Is it OMA?
Yes.
Kind of jock tag.
Yes.
And is that the state outline there, Steve?
Yes, it's the state of Nebraska outlined.
That's a nice touch to kind of tie everything back to the the core brand identity of the team.
Yeah. I also noticed that the crest is even a little bit of that. It kind of got treated with the coloring. You kind of see it here. The background has a little bit of that lilac. Yeah. At least it could be the shading, but it looks like the painting.
Or at least off-white to match the flowers. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this kit is absolutely gorgeous. If you couldn't tell, we gave it a solid kit. And as Fox says, can't join us, but he can listen in. We make a great blacklight game kit. I still
say goalkeeper kit, I'm assuming.
Yes. And so as such, this beautiful kit can still be purchased from Hummel and the team there for $99. And it's a perfect 5. This is a very good 50-51. I'd say ignore that kit value. Yes, you will see some that are higher. That's okay. You're not bargain hunting for this beautiful kit. You're trying to make sure you don't pay a bunch more down the road. Just how beautiful this one looks. So kit looks good. We approve it. We give it the 5 stars here from KitSZN, and welcome to the 5s Club, the Threads of Hope kit. So
nice.
Any final thoughts here before we move on to the next one? Well done.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that it's for cause on top of all that. Just cherry on the cake.
Yep. Cherry
on top. Rather. Icing on the cake, cherry on top. Mixed two. You get what I mean.
It works.
Yeah.
I understand it. So moving on, we're actually going to a team who wanted to put the cherry on top of their season here, and by doing something a little bit special for their first season in the USLW and to honor their WPSL National Championship. And that is Edgewater Castle. And they did something that's kind of unique. Instead of doing just simply, I'll put a star, they did something that meant just a little bit more. And they decided to be creative with their star. I'm going to keep air quotes because I like doing the air quotes. And that is, why not put a rose? And this is such a lovely, cool little touch. This kit on the surface is hoops. You're like, where's the flower element? It's the rose. That's it. That's the flower element in this kit. But it's just, this kit isn't something that's going to fly in your face. It also says acorn, so that's floral adjacent. So this kit isn't about punching you in the face. This thing is about looking clean, about looking good, representing the home team, and then diving into the details. Like, just look at the shots. You see that texture of that blue hoop. It's not just blue. It almost looks like a digitized wave in a sense.
It's like when you look there's layers to it, because at first it's like, okay, blue hoop, and you're like, no, it's gradient blue hoops. But then it's like, no, it's when you look down at a swimming pool or in the Lake Michigan here, I'm guessing, for example,
yes,
and the sun is refracting off the surface, and you get all these cool little patterns at the bottom of the water. That's what that is. And so it's just, again, the more you look at it, the more you can appreciate, like, wow, it's not just blue hoops. It's something else.
It's more, and this is one of those kits that just keeps giving because of just the details you kind of see in this, and it just everywhere. You even see it with the texture of the I know this brand name.
Lotto?
Thank you, Lotto. You just seen the details.
Not a brand you see much in, not just in the USL, but in North America in general.
Yeah, and their layers just kind of add up. You see it in this tri-colored collar. Kind of seems something that's like up my alley. And then as I said, there's just details on details about this kit, and I love how even the men don't have the rose, but the women do, because they earned their roses. Austin, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you kind of like some of the detail, and as much as I do, at least. So I want to hear a little bit more of your thoughts.
Yeah, I love this. I've said this time and time again. Anytime you can take a kind of traditional soccer jersey type of design, whether it's hoops or stripes or sashes, and kind of put your own spin on it that's relevant to your club, that gets a round of applause from me. And they've managed to do that. It's blue hoops, but it's water related, which is being in Chicago, being right by the lake, makes a lot of sense. They've also done this very purposefully. You see the space in between the blue hoops is a little bit smaller than the hoops themselves. There's some care put in that. The hoops are actually, they kind of work down as you go down too. So again, they're not just hoops. This is something that I think if this would belong in the NWSL, you know what I mean? I think that it just speaks to the level of design here. And maybe more teams need to work with Lotto, or maybe Edgewater Castle has been around for long enough. They're a big enough organization. I bet.
Yes.
They had some talent internally working on this as well.
Yeah.
But, to be honest, I didn't even notice, Brett, the tricolor detail until you mentioned it out, because there's so much else to like about this. So yeah, just a great kit.
Yeah, and if you see our scores here, Fox for once was actually lower than me in terms of their score. He gave a 3. I gave a 3.75. I'll explain kind of the scores here a little bit more. But like for me, the thing aesthetically is right up my alley. It's a 4. It's not a 5 because I would never give something like this a 5 in terms of my aesthetic appeal, just because I like to look for something that's unique in my 5s for my aesthetics. That's fine. It's a high bar. I live by it. I live and die by that sword. But this thing is simple. It's classy. And this thing looks so good. I'd wear this to work plenty of times, wearing that collar with the, just that sharp aesthetic. Yeah, it's staying for me. Now, I did give it a 3 for authenticity. Yes, this is probably their thing. Yes, it's a hoops. And yes, you can probably tie in the water, but I still only give it a 3. I'm sticking by that. But the visual details, this is one of the most detailed kits I have seen. There are very few that are almost more detailed. I almost got to stale my visual details execution, because this thing is well detailed. That's the one thing this thing's got going for it. And this is a beautiful mix of clean, classy, but it has that extra layer of details. And those are the kind of kits that are trending right now, if you haven't noticed, across the U.S. when it comes to kits outside of the MLS. It's all about looking clean, but then providing something of more substance underneath it the more you investigate. This kit does that, and then some. And then it's still a hoops kit, so it's still a solid 3, but I could have given a little bit higher because of what they did within the hoops. I kept it as 3, and it's a 3.75 from me here. Now, and I'm being called a hoop hater, but that's fine. That's fine. I only own one hoop kit, and that's like a 60th anniversary Celtic kit. That's the only reason I'm not getting rid of it, because it has gold. Otherwise, I don't wear hoops, but I digress. Austin, any other thoughts on yours before I dive into what Fox really kind of said about this?
Yeah, what you said about it being kind of clean and classic kind of caught my attention, because it's kind of both clean and classic and not, because there's obviously it's not maximalist, but there's a lot going on in the hoops themselves. Also, I appreciate that they made space for the sponsor, and I know we're not supposed to judge on the sponsor, but there's that white space, and then it's interesting that they opted for that sort of sleeve cut instead of a raglan cut.
Yes.
I think having maybe some more white on the shoulder may have helped offset that a little bit more. I don't know, because it's I feel like it's classic because of the hoops, but it's also very much not classic.
Yeah.
So it kind of is in that no man's land. I will say, just overall, I think this is one of the best kits that Edgewater Castle has ever had. I don't know, just being in the Midwest, you're kind of aware of how storied of an organization that is. I think they were with Icarus before. They may have hopped around to a couple different other manufacturers also. And I remember just always being a little bit underwhelmed. Not necessarily by the manufacturers, but just for a club of that stature. I really expected them to look better. And I think now they finally have a look that is representative of, kind of the history of this club and how big they are.
Yeah. And honestly, yes, my store, I gave it a 3.75, but if they kept this as their home kit, I wouldn't have any issues with that. The saying is timeless, but it's also not simple. And I like that combination of the two. Now, Fox here, as you clearly said, it's clear to see here, gave it a 3 compared to my 3.75. He loved the details of the large hoops, and the collar was always a plus. Otherwise, the clean classic kit that looks nice, but nothing for him to write home about, giving us a 3.38 overall. But one of the big bonuses here is that this kit, given that it is valued at $65.
Wow.
Pretty solid kit value of $51.92. And I want to confirm that. $65. And that's what they're out of stock. So you couldn't even get it even if you wanted to, but they're $65. They were at least $65. Beautifully well done kits that were a really good bargain deal as well. If you got it in time, I'd say.
Lotto's Italian, right? So
I think so.
Yeah, probably a little bit harder to get
inventory.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe if we spam Edgewater Castle enough, we might be able to get them to reopen their kit sales, and maybe we can, be like, hey, we know a lot of people who like this. Do you want to help? Do you want us to buy some? Because we will. But that is it here for the Rising Tide kit, honoring their past while moving towards the future. That is the Rising Tide. Up next, we go to their away reds, because if we don't talk about the home kit, you gotta talk about the away kit. And in this case, the Rising Reds is a sharp contrast to the more classic feeling, or at least design, comparatively. This one is bold. It's kind of a little more in your face with that red. I've dubbed it the Road Reds kit, as this one is just, as I said, it kind of slaps you in the face with the color. And one of my favorite parts here is that, like, the blue, that light Chicago blue being used as an accent up there in the collar, and then kind of through the pinstripes that are also pinstripes and then some. And it's also not just all like repetitive. It's like almost like offset little stars, again, taken from the Chicago flag. I think that's a nice little nod. It's just a really solid good away kit, in my opinion. It gets the job done, but then adds a little bit of Chicago love into it.
Yeah, I mean, this ties in with what I said about the home kit, right? It's when you take a traditional soccer template, for lack of a better word, and reinterpret it, and they've taken pinstripes and made it Chicago. Like that's fantastic. You know, that six-pointed star is so iconic, and it feels like there are only so many ways you can interpret that. Like with the Chicago Fire, right? They've kind of done every single version of that they can. But Edgewater Castle has found a way to do it subtly. You know, it doesn't smack you in the face, but it's there. And, you know, everyone knows how much pride Chicagoans have about being from Chicago. And this is something that, you know, definitely falls in line with that.
Yeah. And I'm going to pop up the scores here. For me, it's a little bit too subtle for my taste, but I do like the detail put into it. But Fox here, he did enjoy it. He liked it more than the previous one. And he had this to say. I personally like this one more. If I had to pick one up, it would be this one, mainly because of the nice detail of that star within the pinstripes. Appreciate that the base red has that almost that denim look to it. I would just like how it it feels almost like a matte denim red. It's not just like a normal like sharp red. It's almost like a calming, not so angrily in your face red. Even though the color is still brash because it's red, that's a bit of a texture to it. Very nice looking, but otherwise it's another clean classic kit with some extra pinstripes in it. So that's where his 3.25. Mine, I give it a 2.5. And because I decided to be a little bit of a Grinch and overlook the fact that they used the Chicago blue and the 6-star pinstripe, and I gave it a 2 for authenticity and tradition. So I decided to be a grouch. So I gave it a 2.5 from my ends with a 3.8 from Fox and I here on KitSZN. Austin, yeah, any other thoughts before I decide to dive into its kit value?
Yeah, just a couple notes. Color usage I thought was interesting here. So the logos on the front are primarily white, and yeah, they opted for kind of the sky blue for the back of the collar, but it's kind of a weird shade of like it's almost darker than you usually see the sky blue of Chicago, and because it's so similar to the white, I thought it was white at first, and I was like, wait, is there a lighting trick? I would have almost rather had seen this be primarily a red and white kit, or just something, you know, because obviously there are a lot of dark red and bright blue teams in Europe, right? Almost too many to count. And that color combination just works. Here, something about those shades just doesn't work for me. I feel like the red is either too light or the blue is, maybe it's the photography, I don't know. But just something is a little bit off for me. Similarly, like there's a gradient on those pinstripes, as you can see. And so they talk about it in the product description, how it fades. And it is a cool effect, but almost, I don't know if that's adding a lot. The way that it fades in and out doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. It's not adding anything. It's not necessarily making it worse, but it's like you may as well have kept that one shade and it would have been just as good. One positive, I know we don't usually talk about this, but I found a shot of the back of the jersey and the numbers that they use. They use kind of like an old school medieval, like Gothic font, which kind of ties in with the whole castle thing. Really well done. Would love to see more teams kind of, you know, pick fonts purposefully for names and numbers. So well done to Edgewater Castle for, you know, taking that extra step and taking full advantage of that little detail.
Especially at the League 2 level, where you have a little bit more freedom compared to the Championship or League 1. And that's why, again, if you're in League 2, just go crazy. Which is why this is still being sold for $65 and the kit value of $44.23. Again, this is not a bad pickup. It's still pretty solid for the price value. It's a good deal. Again, if they were in stock, this would have been a good pickup for $65. You wouldn't go wrong with either one. It's definitely, I felt a lot of kits, they're good quality. Too bad they're sold out, as I really wanted that Rising Tide. Anyways, we move it on from the Road Reds here because we still have 2 more primary kits to take a look at because we do not rest on our laurels here at KitSZN. We keep pressing on and continuing to improve us. And that is why we are going to our next kit here, and that is the Pittsburgh Riveters. If I can type here very quickly, and their laurels kit. Now, yeah, you're like, oh, it's flowers, right? And it's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does not have flowers, do they? Well, they don't. But these do. And they turned out beautiful with how they turned out. My wife gave it a 5 out of 5. I did not.
Okay.
Spoiler warning, but my wife gave this a 5. She loves the flowers. She thinks they pop here, particularly on the black kit, and it sticks true to the Pittsburgh ethos of being primarily black with some yellow.
Yeah. You can immediately tell it's a Pittsburgh sports team. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, it's literally baked into the DNA, and it's baked into this kit, and it's baked into the identity of this very young and very good Riveters team.
Yeah,
I like it. I will say one of my things that I liked about this one the best is they probably were always going to do this, but the Hummel logo almost looks like it almost fits in as like another floral, like another element, just because of the placement and the color. It looks like it almost like fits in with like that little gradient of flowers.
The Hummel logo is a bee, and bees love flowers, so it's right there's a flower right next to it. It's right there.
It's right there. Yeah, and it looks fantastic. Now I have found some other photos, so I have some other ones here that I saved for the press release. So Austin, what were your little bit more thoughts about this one?
Yeah, my wife is from Pittsburgh, so I might be a little bit biased, but black and gold is a winning combo. I like that they use different shades of yellow for the flowers.
Yes.
This is everything that a home kit should be, right? It's the team's colors and with just a slight spin on it.
Yes.
The way that they have, and they pointed this out in the copy, they have the flowers growing from the sleeve to the body. So it is that coupled with the different colors, it does make it pretty dynamic. There's movement. It kind of flows in that curve, right? So
yes,
that was all, I'm sure, very purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that first point that you made, this is a home kit. This feels like a home kit for Pittsburgh. And that's why for me, you see my short down below, that's why this aesthetically is a 5. Because I love the colors black and yellow. If you know me, I'm a Borussia Dortmund fan. So black and yellow is kind of one of my favorite color combinations, and not a lot of clubs use it. So when you have that color combination, and then you just do something fun with it, in this case, have really intricately designed and detailed floral pattern onto it. Like, come on. Like, how could I not like this?
Yeah.
Because, like, as designers, this goes into, this was based off of the phrase, rest on your laurels. I don't know how that ties to Pittsburgh. I don't care about that. I'm not here to argue that. But it's always to, to never be complacent about the work that you do. And Hummel and Pittsburgh it's kind of like they're kind of a good shtick for both of them. Just Pittsburgh's known as being a hardworking city. Out there, the steelwork, the very unique geography. It's not just
very
normal.
Color. Even the other sports teams, right? You think about the steel, like it's not just the city; it's the sports teams are expected to.
The hockey team
be a certain way as well.
Yeah, the hockey team the Steelers are not known for offense for a reason. It's because they're blue collar, gritty. Like, I'm gonna when you come to Pittsburgh, you're going to get punched in the face, and that's how it's going to be, because they're going to outwork you. And this kit kind of redefines that a little bit with a little bit of a softer touch with the
Mhm.
floral pattern, but it still kind of evokes that, and
Yeah.
I personally appreciate that. Its authenticity, yes, I'm being a bit of a Scrooge. The only reason I didn't give this a 5 for authenticity is because I need to know what the flowers mean for Pittsburgh. It's from the saying, but how does that tie to Pittsburgh, please? But the colors do all the work. I love it. So I did before. But the visual details, as I said, look at the detailing there of the flowers. It's not just like a clip art of a flower. You see a little bit of like the little parts there on the inside of like a leaf. So then the humble bee can go and like attach to it and get the nectar. That's a really cool subtle detail that you did get to see in the Threads of Hope kit in a little bit there, and you see it a little bit here, a little bit more of a simplified version. This looks beautiful. I love the detailing, and I think the innovation impact I give it a solid 4. I think this was phenomenal. It looks great. It looks good, and Fox here really did enjoy it as well. He enjoys the colors being black and yellow. They do a really nice. They do give a really nice Canva feel. It's still clearly a Pittsburgh kit, but the flowers seem general and less local. It's very nice, but it doesn't give me the artist feel that the.
I will, yeah. When I will agree with him on that point. At one point I was like, oh, why are there Hawaiian flowers on a Pittsburgh kit? Which that speaks more to my lack of flowers than anything else. But I can understand where he's coming from.
Yes, because it is technically the mountain laurel there, the state flower. Again, one of the things that was designed, teams are starting to stick to is that the mountain laurel design was crafted to give it a growth effect. So yeah, this kit's beautiful. Fox didn't quite like it as much, but vibes. Hey, it's a weird day. He's not here, so maybe for once my scores will actually be better than this. I think that's the takeaway here, folks. So yeah, he gave it a 3.75 with my 4.75. So it's a still really good for 4.13. And do you want to know how much this costs? Well, you do. It's $95 with our score. It's a very good 43.42 kit value for this kit. It's a Hummel quality. I won't say the phrase, and it's really solid, and it's a Pittsburgh kit. At the end of the day, this is a Pittsburgh kit, and I can't wait to talk about the away one at some other points. But this is a Pittsburgh kit that is beautiful and well done, and it fits right in to the Pittsburgh sports scene.
Agreed.
Okay. We'll move on. We're moving on. It's already at 48 minutes. We got one more kit, and then some very quick ones here on the side. So up next here, again, sticking with the floral pattern here, we're going to do one that decided to do a collaboration with a local artist and educator from the state of Minnesota. Original artwork that moves with every sprint, pass, and goal, rooted in the natural beauty that it is, and the native plants that grow in Minnesota, the lady slipper, the coneflower, wild rice, and lupin. I present you the Minnesota Aurora Flora kits. Now, this kit looks really good. I will always appreciate, at a bare minimum, with the Aurora, it's just the color scheme. The color scheme of the Aurora always just looks really good, no matter what or how intricate or how simple the kits look. That sharp blue with that, not red, but that really, I don't know what other color called besides of red. It's almost like an orange red. It just looks so good together. And I think this kit looks pretty solid from initial impression.
The colors are what look, the fact that it is mostly a navy kit, but they have just those little pops of bright orange. I don't know what the official color is called.
Yeah.
But, that's all you need, because that color and that bright teal color are so bright. You don't need too much of it, and you don't need both of them. So I thought that was tasteful restraint.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, the official color, oh, I have it right here. I found it. I will find this where I just found it. Give me the wrong image. What was that? Okay. The official color here is called a flash red. The official color, not red. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. The colors do really well, and I do like the detailing of the native colors. I mean, that native plants there, and then the stars in the background. I think that's a nice little touch. One of the things the Aurora really kind of do. It kind of always symbolized into the night sky there in Minnesota. I always find that as a nice little clever Easter egg that they always kind of throw in.
I really like the stars, because that also ties in with the previous kits that they've done, which have been, primarily extraterrestrial in nature rather than being terrestrial, rather than focusing on what's on Earth. It's been about the sky and about the stars. Yep. So that kind of is a nice touch, not just for aesthetic reasons. It does fill up that empty space, but there's a meaning there too.
Yes, absolutely. And you don't care about the sizing. So yeah, absolutely. Now, my main thing here with this kit, well, Fox here, I'm going to pop up my score. He gave it a 5 across the board. He loved it, and this is what he had to say about it. He goes, this fork is a pure beauty while also making it clear that this is still an Aurora kit. I love the details of the shadows of the natural landscape, but you can still clearly see it. This is clearly a night scene, not just a dark silhouette on a landscape. Absolutely perfect. And that is why I have a slight issue. So we'll dive into it as Mr. Grinchmo gets activated here. I still think at the end of the day, this is a relatively simple kit. I don't think this stands out in terms of the brash bold that I'm looking for a 5. For me, I need something that stands out, pops just like that Threads of Hope, or even closer with that Hickory kit, with kind of how that stands out. This is a little bit more on the subtle side. So for me, design-wise, I gave it a 4. It's kind of more of a muted kind of. I don't even want to say detailed. So I did into some issues into that detailing that I would say, but I still gave it a well. And authenticity tradition, I gave it a 4 because it's one of those things that's really hard to represent an entire state. And when you're called the Minnesota Aurora, it's hard to be localized. And that's why they tend to focus on the nature aspect, which is great. But we also know a state like Minnesota has vast geographical and biome differences, even across that state, from tundras to lakes to very frigid areas like the tundra, I keep saying tundras, or the dense coniferous forests and all that. So you have a vast array to kind of tie it in. This does it for one region, not all of Minnesota. So I give it a 4 there. The night sky does a little bit better because most that usually is the same for everybody. Now, here, I could have given this a little bit of a lower score here. I decided against my better judgment because there is quite a bit of variety. However, I did visual details and execution, a 5. I'm talking myself out of it to more likely give it a 4 because there wasn't a lot of detailing in actually the underlying like floral stuff. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's some detailing. You kind of see it there, which saved it, in my opinion. You kind of see it here, especially here on this shot specifically. You kind of see it in the sleeve. There's a little bit of nice detailing put into it, but it's almost too subtle, and it almost reminds me of a spot I put it almost like that Canva where it's like a nice graphic design instead of like really kind of bringing it to life. And I like that type of detailing that we saw with the Hickory kit. I still give it a 5 because I still think the amount of variety you can definitely tell was intentional, and the detail that they did put in was really good. So I still give it a 5. I still gave some issues though, which is why the innovation impact is only a 3 for me because of all of that. Which is why for me it's a 4. overall with Fox's 5 is a solid 4.5. Austin, I talked enough. I want to hear a little bit more from you about this.
Yeah. Um, I actually appreciate that it's a little bit more reserved, because a lot of the Minnesota Aurora kits in the past, even like the classic kit comes to mind. It was classic, and this is more muted in a different way, but they used all of the bright colors there, even though they were just accents, right? This is very much simpler, and I can appreciate that as kind of like a contrast to what they've done in the past. Now, moving forward, they can get a little bit crazier with it. But you can't be all crazy all the time.
No.
Well, unless you're Madison, maybe. But no, I appreciate that they did something different. I also do appreciate the detail. It's not just a silhouette. If you look closely, there are shadows. There are multiple layers. Some of the plant life in the background are a little bit more muted. So it is almost like a 3D diorama that you're looking into. The sleeves are interesting. This is not something that is detracting from it, but I'm just curious as to why there's one sleeve that's blank and one sleeve with plant life on it. I think it's not like the design is going up. So like in the previous example, it was very clear that the flowers were flowing along one side of the body and going up to the sleeve. Here, the torso graphic is primarily on the bottom. So, I don't know. I would have liked to have considered having plants on both or have both blank. I think it would have worked fine either way. Like I said, this doesn't detract from it. It's just an interesting quirk. Like, oh, why did they do that?
Yeah, fair. I honestly, that's actually a fair point. I've noticed more and more times I've started to see that split sleeve look on more and more clubs where like one sleeve design, one isn't.
Yeah.
Don't know why. We move forward with that. However, what we don't move forward with is what this kit value is. You can get this kit still for $90. I think that's the authentic version. Let me triple check on that. No, there it is. The authentic for $115. Is that what's in the thing? Oh no, that's off. Cool. So for the authentic version, you can get this for $115. And again, we only price for the authentic because we believe authentics are the real ones. And so that does change the kit value score here because it's still that good quality, but it's $39.14 for this more subtle floral take from what we've seen here tonight. And it's, as Austin said, kind of a different approach to the floral. He said kind of a little bit layered, a little bit of detailed, but it's more of the reserved side compared to the pop of the laurels of Pittsburgh or the in-your-face hickory from Hickory FC. It's a good kit, though. If you like flowers, you will definitely like this.
It's also different in that this is one of the only jerseys that feature multiple flowers or plants compared to everyone else featuring one flower, one tree.
Yes.
And I think they've managed to, it makes sense here because it's not like the state flower, but it's a collection. And I think it works. I think they've gotten away from it. I don't think that everyone can get away. You need to be able to really weave together a cohesive story, and they've managed to do it. But not every team, I think, can pull that off.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a pretty solid kit. It's a 4.5 from us here at KitSZN. This is pretty good value. This is really good. There was a warehouse sale, by the way, for those who want Minnesota Aurora stuff, which, by the way, is still going on. So you can get past kits on sale, almost all the different kinds, such as that Midnight Navy, the Brighter Together teal kit. Again, not authentic, but you can still get it. Or you can get the authentic one on sale for $102. This one's on my list. I just have other priorities like keeping my wife happy, so I won't be getting that one. But so there's some good stuff as always from Minnesota Aurora and the Flora kit for 2026. Now, real briefly here, I'm going to dive through. We have 6 very quick kits, kind of provide some internal ratings here, just to kind of give them some shouts here on KitSZN, and I lost them. Cool. This is the I literally did the thing where I accidentally. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. This is totally fine. It'll be 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Bam. I all sits. So here are some very briefly 6 internal kits that we want to give some nice shout outs. So first up are the Des Moines Menace. We got the home and the away kits, both with a subtle nod to the city flag there in Des Moines, which is one of the most unique, by the way, in the entire country, with the arches. If you haven't seen that state flag before, you should. It's really cool. So the home kit was a 3.25 from us. That is the black and the red. With the away kit in a 2.88, even though I like it a little bit more aesthetically, it's fine. So pretty solid there from Des Moines Menace. Now this next kit, staying with Des Moines Menace, is the Cup kit. And now Austin, you probably remember these ones when they traveled up to Indy 11 for the Open Cup.
Yep.
And these look pretty sharp from my perspective, especially compared to Indy 11's very blue. So if you saw those, we gave these a 2.88. I enjoyed it with a 3. Thought it's a little bit not as much with 2.75. So this is a reputable 2.88. And all these kits from Des Moines are only $70 from Capelli. So pretty solid. Reasonable. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So next, we are going to go to AMSG Football Club. I tried to figure out what that AMSG meant for. Couldn't find it out. Wikipedia didn't tell me. I didn't dig into it. But anyways, so here's the AMSG home kit. Very clean, simple, unique, almost stripe. I think it's interesting, but it's a plain kit, but it's an interesting stripe. I like to see a little bit more with that. So we gave this here a 1.75. It's on the softer side of things. Now, what redeems their away kit here is that it's red. So it gets a solid 2.0 from us. But there is a little trick up their sleeve here at AMSG, and that is their third kit. And this one I did not have an image downloaded because I just didn't. But this kit right here, it has a nice little bit of texture underneath to it. The black and red are always a good combination. And then it's only $70. Pretty solid for an adult medium, $70. And so we gave this because we like the detailing, we have the coloring, it looks solid, a 3.38, the best of the rest, one can say. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a quick little run through and helping us try to be done here by October. So that's tonight's 12 kits that we kind of briefly ran through here. Now for the best part of the episode. Austin, what are you rocking here tonight?
I am rocking a Adidas Chile national team remake kit, number 10. Pretty plain jersey. Not something that I would usually go for, but I recently attended the bachelor party of a college friend of mine. He is Chilean, so I got us all retro Chile jerseys to wear to a music festival. And yeah, had a great time. Explored Montreal, ate some great food. So it was just a nice little reminder that, kits have the power to take on, another meaning. This is a plain jersey that I would otherwise never wear or buy, but, a lot of great memories attached to it now. And I think that goes for, any of the kits that we review, right? It could be a terrible jersey aesthetically, but if the team has a great run, if they have some miraculous come from behind victories, if they go far in the cup, all that goes out the window, right? Because suddenly you have positive association with it. So that was just a nice little reminder that I don't think I necessarily needed, but it was nice to be reminded that, it's not always about just the design and aesthetics. It's about what that jersey represents. So.
Absolutely. And one of the examples that we'll talk about at a later point this season is the Road Whites for Phoenix Rising to commemorate their USL Championship win when they played every match on the road. And they wore one of the more simple white kits but now it's immortalized forever to that point. Now, for me here, I wanted to stick on theme, less sentimental here on my side. I want to stick with theme with all the flowers. And what is one way is to lean into a flower that this man decided to throw the rhododendron onto a kit. Well, it's literally the design of the kit. Here, the West Seattle Roadies kit. I love it. It's fun, colorful. My wife also really appreciates it because of the colors. So I had to wear it tonight, and it's also my only flower kit. So fair.
I will say, as someone who designs for a team that has a floral identity, this is a personal gripe. But the teams that don't have floral identities coming out with floral kits, it's just like, there are only so many ways you can interpret flowers, right? And so I keep seeing, it's I don't know if this is a trend, if we're going to see more of these. Every state has a state flower, right? Or is
Right.
it that kit? I don't know. But every time I see another floral kit, it's like, you don't even have a flower in your brand. Like, save that for the team. So Roadies and Flower City Union comes to mind.
Yes.
Right. I'm sure there are others that I'm not remembering, even just outside of North America. But it's like,
right.
Save some ideas for us. We need the floral ideas. It's part of our identity. But that's a me problem. I don't think anybody else is having those thoughts.
Hey, as someone who's always appreciated more flower kits, particularly on the men's side, I welcome a good challenge. So a little bit of a reminder here before we go once again about the kit sale here, supporting not Austin trying to figure out more ways to do flowers, but to support the Indianapolis Foundation and their flood relief efforts here in the Indianapolis area. We have lots of great items. Lots of good stuff. Links down in the bio that if you want to collect things from all across, including the Des Moines Menace kit here, that, not what we talked about, but, they are in here. And items including the famous drip kit, all throughout the USL from medium up to 5XL, and including all these details of what you want, what is and is not available. If you can support, please do so. And you also look good wearing these new kits. Austin and I will actually be at the next Indy 11 at the next Indy 11 match with the BYB, I will be collecting efforts and donations with the BYB, as well as we will be having our merch there to try to help sell that physically instead of over online. So if you see us there,
the garage sale kits, you mean? Not
yes.
Merch.
Yeah, no. The garage sale kits there on site. So if you want to pay cash or just make a donation there, and you can walk away with a brand new kit. So we'll be there as always, doing our thing, and also doing our thing. We'll see y'all next week as we try to look at another 10 plus kits, as we still have. I like to do a triple check on the final numbers of the. Oh yeah, and also, by the way, we've done 600 kits in KitSZN history.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I forgot about that. No big deal. We looked at 600. I'm gonna try. So we still have 88 kits to rate, and at this point it might just be 8 weeks, and that's right at the deadline that I'm trying to look for. So keep it up. Thanks for everyone for tuning in as we continue to make our way through. Thank you. It's Kyobi. I hope I said that right, for joining us here tonight. We will see y'all next week with more kits. Oh, and also F Louisville City. Actually, I'm going to say it. Fuck Louisville City. Go Indy 11. Leap half week, baby.
Sorry, Fox.
Yes, sorry, Fox. Enjoy your night. Y'all enjoy your night. See you next week.
Rivalry week. What are you going to do?